Welcome back to HBCU Game Day. We are coming to you live from our Atlanta studios, bringing you the Week 8 edition of HBCU Football Friday night. We have tons of matchups to preview for you this week. It's homecoming season. It's Symone Stanley. It's Wilton Jackson. Wilton pulling up in the orange sweater. It's giving fall. It's giving Halloween. It's giving on brand. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Symone. I'm glad it's Friday. It's one more day closer to Saturday for college football. And yes, I am feeling a little festive with the orange for the fall. It's getting cool outside, so I'm really liking it.
I like it. I like it. Like I said, we have a lot of matchups. We have CIAA. We have some MEAC games. We have a little OVC love. We have the SWAC games, of course. And we have a lot of homecoming matchups. We'll see. We have 3 homecoming matchups. We'll see. Will somebody lose on their homecoming? Or will the homecoming teams sweep? We will find out. But we have to start with arguably the biggest matchup of the week, Wilton. We can't make the people wait. They've been waiting so long for this matchup. We got to go ahead and jump right into it. It's the Florida A&M Rattlers traveling to Jackson State University. Yes, it's been a while since FAMU has played Jackson State in Jackson. The Rattlers are 3-2. Jackson State is 4-2. This game could be the end-all be-all when it comes to who could come out of the SWAC East, who could possibly be representing in the Celebration Bowl. Wilton, when you're looking at this game, what's your initial reactions?
Symone, you just said one of them. This could be the potential winner to win the SWAC East that could potentially be playing in the SWAC championship. But when I look at this from a Jackson State standpoint, I'm looking at which team. I'm looking at Jackson State being able to having to win the battle up front against the Rattlers defensive line. Like, they have to be able to win this match to be able to do other things in their offense, specifically keeping Jacoby and Morgan upright. You're talking about a dynamic quarterback when he's able to sit in the pocket and or move in and out of the pocket to extend plays. He's dynamic. For the Rattlers, they're going to have to get pressure on him. If you're Jackson State, if you've ever picked a game where you needed to run the ball, which they've been able to run the ball all season, this is the game that you will have to be able to run the ball. Obviously, with Irv Mulligan, Travis Terrell, Janalen Dupree, J.D. Martin. I mean, they have a bevy of running backs. You name it. You pick one, and obviously they've had the success with the running game. Also for Jackson State, more than anything beyond the offense, on defense, they cannot go to sleep in the second half or for any point in this game, and mainly due to the fact that they have to be able to slow down Daniel Richardson and his impact play of being able to extend plays when he gets outside of the pocket. Also being able to stop FAMU's running backs. Two that I want to mention here is Kelvin Dean and Bo Somerset. You want to always make sure that you're slowing them down, and then also it hadn't really got a lot of attention on FAMU's tight ends and Jeremiah Pruitt and Kobe Gross. Those are 2 players you want to keep an eye on as well. And more than anything, when it comes to FAMU, if you're Jackson State, do not kick the ball to Jamar Gassett. Like, this is a guy that has shown that he can make dynamic plays in special teams and, of course, from the wide receiver standpoint. But if you're FAMU, you want to get Daniel Richardson going early as possible, making plays, extending plays down the field, running the ball. This is a game where FAMU is going to have to run the ball as well. You want to stop Jackson State's rushing attack and take advantage of special teams opportunities if Jackson State offers them to you.
So we're going to get into Wilton's picks later, but I'm very, very interested to see who you have coming out of that game. Are you going to show any biases or not? Because we know you do hold a degree from you do have a degree from so we'll see if you're able to be non-biased or not. We'll get to Wilton's picks at the end of the show, but let's go ahead and talk about another SWAC matchup. This time coming out of the West, it's Alcorn at 4-3, headed to Southern University 3-3, but Southern University has a big advantage this weekend. Not only are they at home, but it is homecoming. All the Jags are going to be in the Bayou. They're going to be turning up. It's going to be lit at the stadium. Wilton, this is a tough matchup to have for homecoming if you're Southern University. It's going to be a good game, but we know a lot of teams, you want to have a little somebody easier for homecoming so you could be at the game a little bit more relaxed. Yeah. When you look at this matchup, what are you thinking?
It's not going to be a relaxed game, for sure. I think this game comes down to which team has the ball on the final drive with a chance to score a field goal or a game-winning touchdown. And I think if you're Southern, you want to make sure that you're able to take care of the ball with Noah Biden. You're talking about a quarterback in Noah Biden, not necessarily the most efficient passer. Last week he went 13 of 34 for 181 yards and a touchdown. But with the game on the line in overtime, he threw a perfectly thrown ball to Quay Davis to get that touchdown to help them, obviously go on to win that game. So when you think about that, you want Noah Biden to be smart with the ball. I mean, he's thrown 4 touchdowns this year, and he has 6 interceptions. So I say that mainly due to the fact that you're talking about an Alcorn defense that leads the SWAC in takeaways, 11 interceptions and 10 fumble recoveries. So you have to know that, Alcorn's defense is going to be coming to get after Noah Biden in this particular regard. And then also, if you're Southern, you want to be able to stop the Braves' rushing attack, right? And it sounds simple, but Alcorn has been able to run the ball every single week. And it starts with their quarterback in Xavier Vaughn, who leads the SWAC with 641 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. You're also talking about if he's not running the ball, you have another dynamic running back in Jacorian Sewell, who's the SWAC's third leading rusher. He has about 575 yards this season, and he, rushed for 102 yards against Grambling last week, including a 63-yard touchdown run to get that win against Grambling, which for some people it shocked a lot of people that they beat Grambling. And so if you're essentially the Jaguars, when you talk about this, you look at being able to stop the run. This is what they're going to have to do to beat Alcorn. And also, you want to know where defensive lineman Malachi Bailey is at all times. This will require essentially Southern's offensive line to be on high alert at all times because Bailey has that kind of ability to make plays for them. And of course, if you're Alcorn, you want to be able to run the ball immediately. That's no secret. That's the way you've won football games. That's the way that you're going to have to win this game. You also want to be prepared to limit issues running attack if you're Alcorn, whether it's Noah Biden, Kendrick Grimes, Kobe Dillon, or C.J. Russell. Be prepared to stop any of those running backs and or the quarterback in Biden. And then also keeping Biden and the Jaguars offense on the sideline by converting on third downs. Alcorn ranks in the SWAC's top 5 in third down conversions as well as first downs generated per game. So those will be the keys for Southern.
All right, another game where I'm gonna be excited to see who you're picking. And you had a solid record last week. I think you were 4-3 last week with the picks.
And I said I would be 4-3 last week.
What you think you're gonna be this week with the picks?
I'm gonna have to see at the end because it's some games in this week's slate, Symone, that are gonna have me on the edge of my seat. And just even the game we just talked about. With Alcorn and Southern, like that game has always gone down to the wire. I mean, the SWAC West is wacky for what it is, and I think that this week and this time around, it won't be any different.
All right, well, let's pivot to another conference. Let's pivot to 2 different conferences. We are talking OVC versus MEAC. Oh, we got one more SWAC game. Excuse me, one more SWAC game. We have UAPB at Grambling. UAPB coming in 2-4, headed to Grambling, playing a Grambling team that is 3-3. Now, Wilton, not the juiciest matchup of the week, not the juiciest, but this game still has big implications because you can look at this game, Grambling get a win, then Grambling has a chance to pull away in the West. UAPB gets a win, and they're right there with 3 wins, like a lot of other teams in the SWAC West. So when you look at this one, what do you see?
Symone, I think more than anything, before I even get into this game, I was just really thrilled and excited to see Arkansas Pine Bluff come off of a win last week against Prairie View. I don't think anybody thought that they were going to win that game. And, kudos to Alonzo Hampton and the energy and what he's still been able to instill in those players to get a game. And so now, if you're Arkansas Pine Bluff, most people will look at their record. They're 2-4. And now 1-1 in SWAC play. There are things very much still alive for Arkansas Pine Bluff. It's as crazy as that sounds. And so when you're looking at this particular game, if you're Grambling, you can't take Arkansas Pine Bluff lightly. And I think if you're Arkansas Pine Bluff, the keys to success obviously start with Mekhi Higgins. If you hadn't had a chance to watch this young man, he's a very dynamic quarterback. He can throw the ball all around the field, make all the right passes, and it's no secret that he leads the SWAC in passing yards this season currently, and he has the ability to not only sit in the pocket and make plays, but he has the ability to scramble. And you're talking about with an Arkansas Pine Bluff that has not had the best from its offensive line throughout this season, but he's been able to make plays. And I think that whether they choose to, or whether they win this game starts with the play from Higgins. Also, getting BJ Curry in the offense going. Like he had a pretty dynamic game last week. Get him going early on the ground. And then also, if you're Arkansas Pine Bluff, you cannot let Miles Crawley get comfortable in the pocket. We've seen him time and time again get comfortable in the pocket and pretty much dissect opposing defenses in that particular regard. And of course, if you're Grambling, you need a bounce back performance. You need a bounce back performance, particularly from Miles Crawley. Also, you want to be able to limit the self-inflicted wounds, those penalties that still have found a way to affect them at different times of a game, especially in critical moments. And then also, if you're Grambling, you have to get after Mekhi Hagens and essentially be prepared to slow down his mobility in and outside of the pocket.
Shout out to the Roaring Lions of UAPB. Coming in this one hot, coming off of a win. You said a lot of people didn't expect them to get a win. Did you pick them? I can't remember.
I did not pick Arkansas to beat Prairie View. I did not. That was the Friday night game, so we didn't have that game in our slate.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and now pivot over to two new conferences. So we have OVC and we have the MEAC. It's Tennessee State University, 5-2. Look at the Tigers. They are headed up north to Washington, D.C. to take on the 3-3 Howard Bison. And it is a big game in D.C. this weekend because it is the 100th homecoming for Howard University. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought Howard had more than 100 homecomings.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been more than 100 by now, but it's going to be lit in D.C. Like, the hookahs, they smoking already. The hookah's been smoking for days. The hookah is on fire. It's on fire. All the different flavors on fire. Tennessee State, that's a tough team for Howard to play this weekend. But again, this is a big weekend for the University of Howard. Now, when you look at this matchup, what are you seeing besides the hookah smoke?
Well, I see good grills going with smoke with probably some really good eats at tailgate, which is making me hungry right now because I have not eaten today. So, but at the same time, beyond that, I look at two physical teams that have two hard-nosed coaches that are essentially going to expect their teams to win the battle of physicality. And not to mention, I will say this: Howard is 2-0 at Green Stadium this season, if that's worth anything. But if you're Tennessee State to win this game, you need a healthy balance of Draylon Ellis and TSU's running game. Now, I'm going to say this, Symone. I've watched Draylon Ellis grow over the years at Tennessee State from being more of just a running quarterback. I remember his earliest days at Austin, PA. And he was essentially, he had some opportunities there, but then, of course, transferred to Tennessee State. This year, he's thrown for over 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns, and he's been able to still maintain his dual threat ability. I think that in a game like this against Howard, he's going to have to do that, but he's going to have to be smart in doing that. And if you are Tennessee State, you're going to also have to get your trio of running backs in, whether it's Jaden McGill, C.J. Evans, or Jordan Grant, which all three of them have combined for 574 yards and 5 touchdowns this season. So a healthy balance of the run and pass for Tennessee State is going to be key. I think also for Tennessee State, getting pressure on their quarterbacks, whether it's quarterback Deshaun Scroggins or Jalen Tolbert. The Bison, with this two quarterback system, Scroggins is more of your runner. He's rushed for 273 yards. Tolbert is more of your passer. He's thrown for 602, 4 touchdowns and 2 INTs. But more so than anything, when you face a two quarterback system, you have to make sure that your personnel is always on point for which quarterback is in the game. And so you want to make sure that, those whichever quarterback is in the game, you want to make sure that you're on point in that particular regard. Also, if you're Tennessee State, limiting Howard's explosive plays, particularly on the ground. When you talk about a dynamic backfield in HBCU football, it doesn't get any stronger in some cases when you start talking about running backs Jared Hunter and Eden James at Howard. Essentially, one of them, they're always one play away from making a big play. You're talking about Jared Hunter, MEAC preseason player of the year. He's rushed for 449 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's also had 10 receptions for 51 yards. And Eden James, he's carried the ball for almost 250 yards this season. And that's for Tennessee State. But if you're Howard, you for sure want to win the battle up front and establish that running game with Hunter and James, obviously for the reasons that I just mentioned in their contributions to the Bison's offense. And also, you definitely want, if you're Howard, you want to be able to limit Ellis's extension of plays with his legs. Like I said, he's very much a dual threat quarterback. He's grown as a passer, and this is gonna be, if you're Howard, this is gonna be a game where, you know, Tennessee State has a lot of momentum coming into this game, and they're gonna be looking to continue to add wins. You know, for, you know, obviously under Coach Eddie George. Also, you want to make sure that you're limiting the long pass plays in the secondary. TSU has is led by receivers Karate Benson, Jalen Dean, and Bryant Williams. But for Howard, in this particular case, they have a dynamic defensive back who's on a lot of NFL draft boards in Kenny Gallup Jr. And then they also have some other defensive playmakers in Terrence Holland, Xavier, Robert Jones III, Noah Mal. So, like, this game is really, honestly, Symone, and I didn't get a chance to mention Tennessee State's defenders. This game is going to come down to which defense can make a play at the right time to win the game.
I feel like that's cheating. So you already have one matchup. You decide, oh, whoever had the ball last. Oh, which defense going to make the last stop? That's cheating. I'm ready to get to these picks.
Hey, man, I'm just doing my job.
Well, we got to see what you actually think when we get to the end. But let's go ahead and pivot to our next matchup. SIAC versus MEAC. Fort Valley State University 4-2. Right now, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They are headed to Orangeburg, South Carolina, trying to keep that streak alive, trying to go to 5-2. They will face a South Carolina State University team that is 3-2 and will be at home. We love these little inter-conference. Is it inter or intra? Always get that mixed up. Wilton, you're the scholar. Is it intra or inter?
I want to say it would be intra.
So you don't know for sure either?
I don't.
That makes me feel better. They'll let us know in the comments. I'm pretty sure it's intra-conference matchups. Yeah. SIAC versus MEAC, D2 versus D1. Wilton, what do you see when you look at this one?
Before I get into this game, Symone, I have to say kudos, obviously, to both coaches, but specifically Chennis Berry, obviously in his first season at South Carolina State. And I want to mention this fact. Just, you know, you were just saying, like, I'm cheating in terms of, you know, which team are you picking and this and that. I'm just going to state this fact right here. Chennis Berry, for those who don't know, came from Benedict, right? SIAC. Chennis Berry went 2-1 against Fort Valley State during his time at Benedict. From 21 to where he was there from 2020 to 2023, but they didn't play Fort Valley in 2020. So Sean Gibbs has not beaten a Chennis Berry-led team yet. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to leave that right there. So, keys for South Carolina State to win this game. I think the Bulldogs must own the line of scrimmage to allow for Eric Phoenix to make plays. If you don't know who Eric Phoenix is by now, he's South Carolina State's quarterback, and he's had lots of success this season in being able to pass the ball. And a lot of that is due to the fact of the continuity on South Carolina State's offensive line with Nick Tace, Eric Brown, and Cam Johnson. They have played a huge dividend in allowing Phoenix to be who he is. And you're talking about Phoenix and a quarterback who leads the MEAC in passing and total offense. You're talking about a South Carolina State team that leads the MEAC in total offense, pass offense, first downs, and third and fourth down conversions. Not to mention, this also may work in South Carolina State's favor that Fort Valley State entered Saturday's game ranked number 11 of 13 teams in the SIAC in passing yards allowed, which could make for a big day for Phoenix. Also, if you're South Carolina State, you want to establish the run as well with DeAndre Duhart, KZ Adams, and Tyler Smith. Those three running backs are dynamic and can go off at any point during the game. Also, if you're South Carolina State, you want to continue to excel on first downs and third down conversions, which will help you to control the time of possession in this game. Now, if you're Fort Valley State, you have some pretty dynamic playmakers on your own and a dynamic offense within the ranks of the SIAC. So if you're Fort Valley, you obviously want to get Kelvin Durham the opportunity to make plays in the Wildcats offense. You're talking about a guy in quarterback in Durham who had 4 touchdowns through the air last week and a rushing touchdown against Allen. You're talking about a Wildcats offense that lead the SIAC in scoring and have 4 games of 40 points or more, so they can score the ball. But the thing is, the defense that they're going to face this week in South Carolina State is going to be tough. So, but if they hope to get a win or get an upset against South Carolina State, obviously it would start with him. And then it would also go to their running back in Brandon Marshall, who has shown that he can make dynamic plays in the Wildcats offense as well. So between that And then also getting pressure. If you're Fort Valley State, you have to get pressure on Phoenix and stop the Bulldogs' rushing attack. One thing for Fort Valley State is they lead the SIAC in sacks this season with 24. They're ranked number 4 in opponents' third down conversions per game, and they are also holding opponents to 64.3 rushing yards per game. I don't know if I expect South Carolina State to have less than 64.3 rushing yards, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yes. And we have one more matchup to get into. Last but certainly not least, the CIAA. We have Shaw headed to Charlotte to face the undefeated Johnson C. Smith University. Now, Johnson C. Smith University might be the only, I said might be, okay? They might be the only undefeated team in the HBCU ranks left. Am I right? Am I wrong? Wilton, let me know. Are they?
I think that, so there's no one undefeated in the CIAA. There's not anymore. There's no undefeated teams in
SIAC.
No,
nope.
There's none in the SWAC either.
Nope. MEAC got a loss.
Tennessee
State got a loss. Now, there might be some teams that slipping through the cracks. We know it's a lot of HBCUs, but y'all know what I'm getting at. Johnson C. Smith is hot right now, okay? Let's see. Are they going to be able to stay undefeated? This weekend is homecoming, too, for the Golden Bulls. So they're going to want to make sure they not on no Golden Bull this weekend where they got the homecoming crowd in full attendance. So if you are Shaw, what is it going to take to give Johnson C. Smith their first L?
I think if you're Shaw to potentially get this win, you have to establish the running game in combination with the quarterback play from Christian Peters. A lot of times, a lot of attention gets put on Christian Peters, and rightfully so. He's a dynamic quarterback who can make all the passes in the right reads. But I think more than anything, too, you definitely have to be able to get the running game going to combine with that. You're talking about a Shaw team that essentially scores about 27.4 points per game, which is third in the CIAA. This is going to help them potentially win this game. And then more than anything, they definitely have to find a way to get pressure on Darius Ocean. This is a dynamic quarterback for Johnson C. Smith. Obviously, can make all the right passes. He's been pretty much dynamic throughout the season, each week. A big part of why they're undefeated this season. And Coach Flowers is really big on the development and the growth that Darius Ocean has showed this season, and even in previous years from where he's grown to where he is now. And then also, if you're Shaw, you want to limit Johnson C. Smith's opportunities in the red zone. While it would be hard to prevent the Golden Bulls from moving the ball, as the field gets smaller, Shaw could potentially make up for that and tighten up their defense in the red zone. So you're talking about a Shaw team that enters this game at number 5 in red zone defensive percentage. However, they've allowed the most touchdowns in this area of the field. So when Johnson C. Smith gets the ball in the red zone of the field, they have to make sure they don't give up those touchdowns. And I think if you are Johnson C. Smith and you want to maintain your undefeated record and stay perfect, you got to maintain physicality and win the battle up front on the offensive line very early on. This is a Johnson C. Smith team that has shown us each week, from some close wins to even some blowout wins, that they are for real and that they are essentially one of the best teams amongst the HBCU ranks, and more specifically the best team in the CIAA. I think you can also expect a strong performance from Darius Ocean this week. You have to give a lot of credit to Johnson C. Smith's offensive line. They've allowed him to have the play that he's produced on the field this season. You're talking about a guy who leads the CIAA in passing yards and sits number 2 in passing touchdowns this season. They also have a pretty dynamic running back in Quavarius Crouch. Has the second most rushing touchdowns in the CIAA this season as well. And if you're Johnson C. Smith, which they have not had any problems doing this year, getting after opposing quarterbacks, well, you have another one to get after in Christian Peters. And I think they won't have too many problems doing that.
All right. Now it's time for our favorite part of the show, Wilton's Picks, Week 8 edition. Let's see who Wilton has coming away with win. I knew it. I knew you was wearing orange, but you was still riding with that navy blue of Jackson State. So Wilton has Jackson State getting a win at home versus FAMU. He has Southern getting a homecoming win over Alcorn. He has Grambling getting a win over UAPB. All that gassing up a UAPB you did, Wilton, just to get him an L. You crazy. Then he has Tennessee State spoiling Howard's 100th homecoming. Do y'all see this? Then he has South Carolina State snapping Fort Valley's win streak. You are just breaking hearts with these picks. He has Johnson C. Smith at least winning homecoming. So he has 2 homecoming winners, Southern and Johnson C. Smith. Howard, he ain't got y'all winning at homecoming. But that's Wilton's picks. Last week he was 4-3. This week we have 6 games. We'll see. We'll see what your record is after week 8. So you have something to say to the Bison?
You know, I love the Bison. I love all the people that go to Howard. Shout out to the real HU. But they're probably gonna take an L this week.
So now you making Howard mad by giving them an L. Now you pissing off Hampton because you said Howard's the real HU. You just create enemies today. That is the Week 8 edition of HBCU Friday Night right here on HBCU Game Day. I am Symone Stanley. He is a Wilton Jackson. Until next time, bye.